The man simply pulled out a spatula used for cooking, yet he dared to step onto the stage to fight the West's top swordsmanship general. Just when everyone thought the man would definitely lose, the man's spatula suddenly emitted a golden glow. In less than a second, the spatula originally used for cooking turned into a sharp longsword. With one swing from the man, the general collapsed to the ground and couldn't get back up. Seeing the giant dragon fly out of the sword, everyone finally realized the man's power was far from ordinary. Little did they know, 3 years ago, the man had already become the world's #1 swordsman. But when he came down from training in the deep mountains, he discovered that his mother, who should have become the top general, had been betrayed during the war and tragically died on the battlefield. His father, in order to avenge her, had also died 3 days earlier. The soldiers who once fought alongside his mother were all falsely accused of treason. Wherever they went, they were condemned. When the man learned of this, his heart was instantly filled with grief. He also felt his parents didn't deserve such false accusations. So he discarded his longsword, hid his identity, and became an ordinary street vendor at a corner stall. Only the butler who once served the man's mother stayed by the stall to protect him. At the same time, he hoped that one day the man would let go of his hatred, pick up his longsword again to fight the enemies, and bring honor to the nation. Soon, 3 years passed. On the eve of the National Swordsmanship Tournament, the man's fiancée, Lisa, came to find him. But the man didn't want to be involved with Lisa anymore. Hearing that she wasn't there to eat, he immediately tried to drive her away. But the next second, he heard Lisa's request to break off the engagement. Though shocked, the man wasn't surprised. After all, he was no longer the son of the top general. But the butler beside him refused to let him end the engagement, because once the man was rejected, no one would remember his true identity. But Lisa refused to stay with him, because in her heart, the man's mother had betrayed the nation, and even the man was a traitor too. She said he was now nothing but a useless loser. Her words completely enraged the man, because he could never accept that his parents were labeled traitors. So he immediately agreed to Lisa's request for breaking off the engagement. Lisa knew the man refused to admit the treason accusations, but she also refused to believe they were innocent. So she invited him to participate in tomorrow's swordsmanship competition. She claimed that as long as he could win the competition and pull out the longsword left by the previous champion, she would become his servant. However, what she didn't know was that the longsword placed at the tournament was originally the man's own sword from when he became #1 and had discarded. But now, the swordsman saw it as a symbol of ultimate strength. The swordsmanship tournament soon began. The rules stated that all participants must fight in real combat. The winner could then attempt to pull out the sword. Whoever successfully drew the longsword would become the Pope of the swordsmanship order. Lisa even bet herself, saying she would marry the next Pope. Facing such rich rewards, everyone present showed yearning expressions. But before they could go up to try, a swordsman of advanced level rushed onto the stage to accept challenges from everyone. Everyone took one look at the expert and immediately backed away, because they knew very well their strength was no match for him. Even Lisa couldn't help sighing internally that such a powerful swordsman still existed. She immediately wanted to recruit him to her side, but before she could approach him, a swordsman surrounded by purple smoke flew in from outside the arena. Everyone instantly recognized that Jack had reached the elite rank, but because he was a foreigner, the crowd despised him and immediately tried to drive him off the stage. But Jack refused to back down, because his purpose today was to take that longsword, so he wouldn't leave just because of a few accusations. Seeing this, Lisa could only pin her hopes on the expert beside her, but to her surprise, the expert was actually Jack's student. Seeing everyone's shocked expressions, Jack became even more smug, claiming they were all useless trash, and even one of his ordinary students had become someone no one could defeat. The man, who originally wanted to intervene, had just stood up when the crowd attacked him verbally, saying all their failures were the fault of traitors like him. This made the man sit back down again, but Lisa refused to give up. She immediately drew her own longsword and charged at Jack, but she was no match for him at all. With just one finger, Jack sent her flying. Seeing Jack's increasingly arrogant expression, everyone felt a wave of shame. Then, they pushed all the blame onto the man, saying that if not for his family's treason, their swordsmanship would never have fallen so low. Hearing their ridicule, the butler could no longer contain his anger. He charged onto the stage, and with one punch, knocked Jack to the ground. Jack's student tried tried to help, but was stopped by Lisa. Just when everyone thought the butler would win, Jack secretly drew the longsword and struck toward the butler. He then used the sword to absorb the surrounding evil spirits. With one glance, the man realized the butler was no match for Jack. Seeing the little girl who suddenly rushed forward, the man widened his eyes in shock. Luckily, the butler reacted in time and blocked the deadliest blow, preventing the girl from being hurt. Seeing even an 8-year-old girl dare to step forward, the man couldn't help reflecting on himself. He began wondering if he had been wrong all along. Remembering his mother's last words, the man's fighting spirit ignited once more. The sealed longsword on the stage seemed to sense its master's anger and instantly released a burst of golden light. When the man called to it, it transformed directly into a golden dragon and flew into the man's hand.